Well, thank you, Mark. And I'd like to thank the Central Business District Association and today's sponsors for this opportunity. I never figured I'd be here doing this, but as they say, life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. So here we are for my first inaugural and last memorial Central Business District Association speech. Mayor Dyer, Vice Mayor Wood, members of council, thank you so very much for your support. I could not do this without you, and thank you. I was honored and humbled to be asked to lead the city organization while the search is on for our next city manager. During these past few months, I've gained a much deeper appreciation for the complexities of the job and some of the things I used to take for granted, like sleep. I thought Dave Hansen was just messing with me when he'd send me emails at 5 a.m. As it turns out, that's about the only time there is to do it, other than on weekends as well. So, and I would like at this time to point out that much of what I'll be talking about today can certainly be attributed to Dave Hansen. He was the manager for 2/3 of 2019, and he was responsible for laying the groundwork for many of the initiatives, these initiatives during his tenure. But it didn't take much convincing for me to accept the acting manager position, and the reason is simple: I owe this city quite a lot. I came of age in Virginia Beach in the late 60s and early 70s, and the beach was a fantastic time and place to do that. Just think of the sitcom Happy Days, but at the beach. That's exactly the way it was. Along the way, I got a gift from the city that I didn't fully appreciate until I was old enough and mature enough to reflect upon how I got to where I was. That gift was a great education at Kellam High School. Now, I'm talking about old Kellam, although back then they called it New Kellam. And after attending 5 different elementary schools in 7 years as a military brat, I would attend Kellam for 5 consecutive years, and as a result of that education, I was accepted into 2 of the many great engineering schools in the Commonwealth. I think I need to point out, though, back in those days, 8th grade was part of the high school curriculum. So when I told you I was 5 years at Kellam, they had 5 individual grades there. So just wanted to clear the record there. So anyway, I brought all of this up because about half of the city's budget is devoted to our school system. It's one of the finest in the nation, both then and now, and that system continues to bestow upon our children the greatest gifts that we as a community can give them, knowledge and skills for their future. So for the representatives of the school system here today, and that includes my wife, Pam, who taught elementary school for 35 years, and for the City Council, who provides funding for the school system, I want to say thank you. You are all a major factor in our city's success. So after college, and 5 years in the desalination field, having lived all over the United States, I jumped at the chance to work for this city. I love the idea of making the one place in the world that I called home better for our residents. And I love this city, and it probably doesn't surprise you to learn I'm not alone. According to a study by Wallet Hub, released in July, Virginia Beach snagged the #1 spot as 2019's best big cities to live in, moving up from #2 in 2018. Thank you. And based on our recent citizen satisfaction survey, our residents agree. 93% think Virginia Beach is a good place to live. 90% are satisfied with city services. Nearly 8 in 10, 77%, agree that they receive a good value for their city tax dollar. Let that sink in for a minute. And more than 9 in 10 agree that Virginia Beach is a safe place to live. You have to look far and wide to find another city that boasts these kinds of results year over year. And the full report is on our website, vbgov.com. I highlighted these findings because they speak to our high quality of life in Virginia Beach and reflect the leadership of City Council and the dedication of more than 7,400 city employees who I have the privilege to work with and lead. And we don't just survey our residents, we also survey the city workforce to get a sense of how they feel. Out of more than 50 statements, the highest rated statement, with more than 95% responding favorably, is the statement in which our employees indicate that they understand how their job relates to the city's mission and goals to make Virginia Beach the great city that it is. We take enormous pride in providing the foundation and safety net that allows our community to thrive and in delivering services that are needed and valued by our residents. Services such as making sure the roads are in good repair, protecting us from harm, or helping us when we are hurt and vulnerable, making sure our parks are inviting places to play, making sure litter is cleaned up and our beaches are groomed, providing essential services to make homelessness rare, brief, non-reoccurring, and aiding residents who struggle with addictions and mental health issues, providing facilities like libraries and recreation centers to enrich our minds and our bodies, and fostering public art to enlighten and beautify our community. If there is one common denominator that I have seen in City Council and the workforce in my 40-year tenure, it is the belief in the greatness of this city and the pride they take in making it such a wonderful place to live, work, and raise a family, and visit too. So City Council members and city staff are here today, and I would appreciate it if you would join me in giving them and their colleagues a round of applause. So thank you for that. It's especially meaningful in light of the incredible tragedy we suffered last year. Make no mistake, the shooting on May 31, 2019 rocked us to our very core, and we're still grappling with the aftermath 8 months later. Now, to many in our community, 8 months is a long time. Many think we've recovered, we're back to normal. In their defense, we do our best to project that image, even though it's not nearly true. So I can't blame many of our residents for being frustrated at some inefficiencies, delayed projects, longer wait times, missed commitments. The 4 departments that were housed in Building 2, Public Works, Public Utilities, Planning, and Information Technology, in one way or another, they touch the lives of every single resident every single day. So when they're not at the top of their game, everyone feels it. There are no words to adequately convey the devastation, the trauma, the tragedy of that day, and the impacts we continue to feel today. 12 dead, 4 irreparably injured, hundreds, including first responders, traumatized. According to the Department of Justice experts, who are, and this is very sad to say, way more familiar with these events than they should have to be, it will be years, not months, before many of our workforce will be able to view this in the rearview mirror. In addition to the physical and emotional trauma, we continue to grapple with the logistical upheaval of the 4 departments that formerly occupied Building 2. They were not co-located in that building by accident. Many of their functions overlap and are independent with each other. Now they are scattered all across the city. Coordination used to involve walking down the hall or 1 flight of steps. Now it requires a 20 to 30-minute drive. Obviously, we use technology to mitigate as much of this as we can, but sometimes there is no substitute for shoulder-to-shoulder, face-to-face interactions. It was a deeply traumatic event, and no one should ever have to experience it. We are changed forever. But I will say that still in the aftermath, I couldn't be prouder of the way that the workforce pulled together. These departments are staffed and led by people who themselves were significantly impacted by the senseless and tragic events of that day. But this is what I know. We are resilient, we are dedicated, we are committed to making this city better. We will get through this one day at a time. We will get through it because of the strength from within and the strength of our partnership with you all, our community. Thank you. I especially want to recognize our partner, Sentara Healthcare, who didn't hesitate to jump in and stand up the VB Strong Center. That center is funded for 3 years by a $3 million grant from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice Services. The center's mission is to support anyone, and I mean anyone, impacted by the May 31 tragedy. City and school employees, their families, families of the victims, or any member of our community. The center offers a number of services and programs focused on healing and recovery, Now, healing and recovery are long-term commitments, so please be patient. We will be back to our pre-event strength one day. So, I actually have some perspective on long-term commitments. As I was thinking about what to say to you today, I got to thinking about how long I'd been working for the city, 40 years this July. I can still recall the day I first walked into Building 2 on July 16th, 1980. I can also remember that same day, then Director of Public Utilities Aubrey Watts calling me into my office and into his office and explaining to me that the casual tire that was perfectly acceptable in an R&D facility in the San Francisco Bay Area wasn't going to cut it in 1980 Virginia Beach. He handed me a book called Dress for Success. This is absolutely true, and told me to go out and buy some suits. And so that night, I went out to Lynn Haven Mall, JCPenney's, and bought several suits. Every bit of that is 100% true. Albert Einstein once said, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer." One project I stayed with for a long time, 15 years, was the Lake Gaston Pipeline Project. At least at that time, you could argue it was the most significant project in our city's history. I could write a book about the legal, regulatory, institutional, and political issues surrounding that project, the mistakes made, the lessons learned. In some respects, there's little has changed in the decades since we brought the project online. And several important lessons are relevant to our greatest challenge today, sea level rise and recurrent flooding. The Atlantic Ocean, the Chesapeake Bay, the Elizabeth and Lynn Haven rivers, and Back Bay are all rising at about 1 inch every 4 years, and that rate is accelerating. We are preparing for 1.5 feet of sea level rise by 2050 and 3 feet by 2070. Just like the Lake Gaston project, these solutions will be difficult, controversial, take a long time, even in government years, and they will be costly. And just like the Lake Gaston project, they will require a total commitment from the staff, the city council, and the community. The major players will be the same: the city, the region, Virginia, North Carolina, the federal government, and all the regulatory agencies. One big difference: in the Lake Gaston project, it was Virginia Beach and the region pitted against, fighting most of those players. Now, Virginia Beach and the region will have to partner with all those players to outwit and overcome Mother Nature, a much tougher opponent. A major factor in the success of the Gaston project was the resolve and support from City Council and the community. City Council stayed the course and provided resources and political support as we rode a legal and regulatory roller coaster for 15 years. 7 council election cycles in which challengers made the wisdom of the project a central campaign issue in every single election. There were dozens of council votes. Most were 11-0, the occasional 10-1. The closest vote ever was 7-2, and our opponents thought that was a major watershed moment, a sign of waning support. They were so wrong. 2 council members were gone that day, and they were going to vote for it, so it would have been a 9-2 vote. But that was the best closest the opposition ever came, a 7-2 vote on city council. The community, for its part, agreed to significant increases in water rates to fund the project, increases that catapulted us to the highest water rates in the region. But because of that strategic decision and our partnership with Norfolk, we have a water system that, in terms of resiliency, sustainability, reliability, and water quality, is second to none, and we have the lowest water rates in the region now. It was the unwavering support of City Council and the community that ultimately made the Gaston project a reality, and it is what will ultimately allow us to prevail in our fight against sea level rise. And that will allow us to continue to grow like we did in 2019. According to the Virginia Employment Commission, we added 5,000 jobs last year. We also saw $850 million in private capital investment in our city, more than double the amount we saw in 2018. Virginia Beach's already low unemployment rate fell from 2.7% to 2.4%. In 2019, the local GDP growth was just over 3%, a rate that outpaced the national average and was second only to Fairfax in the Commonwealth. We didn't get to those numbers by just a handful of major announcements. We attained those numbers one new small business, one expansion, one relocation, and one breakthrough at a time. And we saw it happen in every economic segment, from technology, healthcare, hospitality, distribution, manufacturing, and retail. Two projects on which we made great progress last year will be major contributors to our overall economy: the new Sports Center and Atlantic Park. The Sports Center is set to open in November of this year. It will be a major national draw for travel sports tourism, especially during the shoulder seasons. The Virginia Beach Development Authority and the City Council approved a development agreement with Venture Realty to build Atlantic Park, the single largest public-private investment project in our city's history. It will contain unique experience retail, restaurants, office and residential space, and two signature elements: the Wave Surf Park and the Dome Music Venue. They will provide year-round entertainment for residents and visitors alike. Rolling Stone magazine wrote an article touting 6 reasons Virginia Beach should be your next music-filled weekend destination. When the new Dome opens, there will be even more reasons Virginia Beach will be the music place to be. Rolling Stone also highlighted a great event that was recently added to our lineup of stellar weekend concerts. Last year, we were honored to host the inaugural Something in the Water Festival. It really put Virginia Beach on a new plane. And I think at this point, I'd like to recognize another graduate of the Virginia Beach school system, Pharrell Williams. And I'd like to recognize him for the phenomenal, and I don't know any better word to describe it, but the phenomenal vision and resources he brought to the table to transform that weekend. The plans for 2020 look even more amazing, so I need to say thank you, Pharrell. With partners like you, we can pretty much do anything. Nowhere is the idea of transformation more evident than right here in Town Center. What was mostly vacant land 20 years ago has become our vibrant central business district and a major economic engine. Each year, it generates more than $8 million in revenue for services throughout the city. Services like schools, parks, public safety, and roads. That means Town Center benefits every single resident of Virginia Beach, even if they never come here. But they do come here to work, to play, to dine, and to shop. They come here to live, or maybe just visit, maybe for a first date, or maybe for the last night on the town. We are incredibly proud to see our downtown all grown up and offering the range of live, work, play options that make it a highly desirable location for expanding and adding businesses. Last year, Town Center welcomed new residents and retailers, and we learned of plans for more expansion. Let me highlight what was added just in 2019. Wegmans, Lamia's Crepes, Macaroon Tart, Caribou Coffee and Einstein Bagels, Michael Michel Nail Spa, Virginia ABC Store, Commonwealth for the Greater Good, David's Bridal, and the Shake Shack. All of Block 9 is complete, and Town Center is now home to more than 100 commercial tenants, with others slated to join them this year, including Taste Unlimited and Cantina Laredo. In 2019, we had 19 companies graduate from our Bio Challenge. They will be occupying leased space at the Convergence Center as part of a bio accelerator. That facility will include a wet lab and industry experts who will work with these companies to nurture this cluster in Virginia Beach. New hotels, including Hyatt Place and Residence Inn by Marriott, they opened in 2019. And the Crowne Plaza Hotel on Bonnie Road is slated for a $14 million renovation. For those who decide that just visiting Town Center isn't enough and want to live here, a number of new housing developments provide a mix of market rate and affordable quality housing. In 2019, the Franklin Johnson Group added 2 new Pembroke area apartment communities to their portfolio. 200 West in Virginia Beach is a 264-unit affordable community which leased up in 90 days. Their newest community, Renaissance, is a 240-unit affordable community scheduled to open this summer. They have already received over 300 inquiries about Renaissance, and they have not even started pre-leasing. The Franklin Johnson Group total development cost for these two projects is about $100 million. Amada Hoffler and Devaris Real Estate announced that Apex Entertainment is joining Town Center. Apex is a top-tier family entertainment center that includes bowling, sports simulators, rope courses, indoor go-karts, corporate function space, and much more. 2020 will be another strong year for development in Town Center, as a number of new businesses have recently or will soon open their doors here, including Gather Workspaces, Procter & Gamble Distributing, and ODL Services, a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business that provides clients with personnel, logistics, training, and evaluation services. And for you dog lovers out there, Dogtopia expects to be open soon in space on Columbus Street. The name captures the, for all the dog lovers, the name captures the essence of the place, everything a dog family member requires, from day and overnight care to boarding and spa services. All of this activity explains why Business Facilities Magazine ranked Virginia Beach among the top 10 mid-sized cities with the best economic growth potential. Really good news for the long-term financial outlook for our city. Of course, the other side of growth is that more people in the area means more challenges with mobility, which is why improving connectivity and enhancing our transportation infrastructure remains a priority focus for us. Here are a few projects completed or planned for the Pembroke Strategic Growth Area. The second of 3 phases of the Thalia Creek Greenway project is now open. It provides pedestrian access between Town Center and the surrounding neighborhoods with scenic views of the marsh and creek. $25 million in improvements to the Cleveland Street corridor have been designed to provide additional capacity and increased safety. The project includes additional lanes, shared use pathways, on-road bike lanes, and landscaping. This will create a more walkable community that will help spur new mixed-use development as Town Center grows to the west. The new Greenwich Road flyover will open later this year, which is designed to ease traffic on the I-264 Independence Boulevard interchange. At the same time, Virginia Beach is providing funding to VDOT to study the I-264 Independence interchange as a precursor for a project to improve the capacity and safety of that seriously overloaded interchange. While we're focused on managing the city's roadway capital improvement program, we don't want to miss new opportunities to become a more connected and smarter city. I'm excited to announce the ROCS, Rapid Overland Express. They're planning twice-daily round-trip service aboard luxury, custom-designed coaches between Town Center and Pentagon City in Washington, D.C. They plan to begin service this spring. Next, we're looking at ways to leverage partnerships to become a test center for emerging transportation technologies. City staff and representatives from Dominion Energy and Virginia Tech recently briefed City Council on a proposed automated electric vehicle demonstration project. Who knows? You might just have an automated vehicle picking you up curbside right here in Town Center in the not too far away future. One of the significant obligations city government has is maintaining and upgrading city buildings and facilities, and we made considerable progress on a number of projects this last year. Among them, completing construction on the new 4th Precinct Police Building in Kempsville, breaking ground on the new City Hall, and renovating 4 libraries with 4 more to start this year. Among the many initiatives we have underway is updating the city's comprehensive plan. This is the vision for the future that guides our city's physical growth. It includes land use decisions and decisions on the appearance of our city. The process for updating the plan includes many opportunities for public input. I hope you all get involved. On the environmental front, The Commonwealth of Virginia announced a number of important investments in Virginia Beach and the region this past year, including programs to clean up the Chesapeake Bay, encourage wind energy, and preserve open spaces by improving state parks and conserving land. The $9.2 million renovation of the Lynn Haven North Shopping Center was a much heralded and major upgrade, and the city is partnering with $4 million for Lynn Haven Parkway corridor improvements. So I have cherry-picked only a few of the many projects that took place here last year because doing anything else would take more time than we have. But I'm proud to report that our strength as a city where businesses thrive continues to receive national recognition. For example, in 2019, Virginia Beach was named one of the best places in America for starting a business and one of the best cities for successful women entrepreneurs. But that's just two of the recognitions our city received last year. There were others. We were recognized by the Center for Digital Government as among the nation's top digital cities. Virginia Beach is also considered one of the best-run cities in the country, as well as one of the safest. We were named the best big city to live in and one of the best places in America for veterans to live. The online real estate brokerage Owners.com ranked Virginia Beach the #1 home buyer market in the country. But as important as development is, Virginia Beach caught the attention of the New York Times for something that few communities have yet to muster the strength of convictions to do, and that is to say no to development when a project will add to flooding problems. As part of its fight against sea level rise, climate change, and frequent flooding, the city has strengthened its stormwater standards. Not very popular, but it was the right thing to do. Projects today are evaluated using state-of-the-art hydrologic computer models and in the context of future storms that will occur more often and carry more rain. City Council recently denied a rezoning because of rising water levels. We were sued, we defended, we won. The New York Times called it drawing a line in the mud. We called it making tough calls to protect our city's future. In 2019, we continue to make progress addressing recurrent nuisance flooding, stormwater management, and sea level rise. From 2017 to 2020, we tripled the 6-year stormwater CIP from $125 million to $375 million. We now invest as much money in our stormwater infrastructure as we do in roads and schools. From 2018 through 2020, we will have replenished sand on all 7 public beaches. These widened beaches will provide greater buffers from storm damage as well as greater recreation space. In some areas, we doubled or even tripled the width of our beaches. In its first year of operation, our award-winning Housing Resource Center housed 500 people, served more than 450 patients at the health center, connected over 400 households to public assistance, over 230 households to employment services, and 130 households to mental health and substance abuse services. They also served more than 37,000 meals. Last year alone, more than 15,000 people volunteered over 1 million hours of their time doing everything from saving human lives as part of a rescue squad to saving us from drowning in paper. All of that added up to nearly $28 million, or more than 5 cents saved on the real estate tax, and those numbers have been audited by our city auditor. I would be remiss if I did not emphasize another area that means real dollars for us here in Virginia Beach. The 2020 census is upon us. It will determine our share of nearly $700 billion in federal funding for public services like schools, hospitals, roads, Medicare, and more. For every person who isn't counted, our community loses $20,000 over 10 years. That could add up to an enormous amount of money. So we could use your help in getting the word out. If there are ways you can assist us with that effort, please see Nina Gooddale in the back before you go, and she will help you with that. While we have major challenges ahead, we have much to be proud of in this city. 2019 was filled with some of the highest highs, but also the lowest of lows. We will never forget the events of May 31 and our fallen comrades. We will also never forget how this community rallied and came together. On behalf of the entire city organization, thank you for your support, your caring, and your understanding. In the words of Bob Marley, you never know how strong you are until being strong is the only choice you have. We are VB Strong. Thank you.